Alright guys, he's in here. Welcome back to the channel for another Dislyte video. In today's video, we're going to be going over a topic that might be helpful to a lot of people, especially new players picking up the game. It also might be useful if you're a veteran. I mean, can you really be a veteran when a game's 2 weeks old? But it might be useful to you because it may bring up some nice thoughts that you haven't already thought about when you are building your teams. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of my favourite fighter characters in the game who are better known as DPS characters. Let's be honest, we all call them DPS characters, okay? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a few different types of DPS I like to use, why I use them, and why I think they're so good. Now, I am not saying these are the best DPS units in the game, but for me and my specific builds, and depending on the content I'm doing, there's certainly DPS units that I like to call my favourite fighters in the game, okay? So, I'm going to start off with the basics. The one that I kind of see right now as my own personal pure DPS, okay? Now I say pure DPS because he isn't really doing a lot more other than being a DPS character, okay? He does have a little bit to his kit that makes him do a little bit more than just damage, but not as much as the other characters I'm going to talk about in this video, okay? So, Ling. Ling was probably the first... Well, he was the first legendary character I got in the game. He was my core DPS character who carried me through quite a lot of content. He is still a character I use when I want to pump out good damage numbers. However, he has kind of fallen by the wayside because as you get into the later game, you need a lot more than just pure damage, okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute. So Ling, he has a few things going for him. He has got this AoE attack, which attacks all enemies 3 times, each dealing damage equal to 36% of attack, plus true damage equal to 6% of the target's max HP. The true damage is up to 80% of his attack stat. The last strike steals 10% of the target's AP. Okay, so he can have a little bit of an impact on AP, which is pretty good. You know, that's why I says he's not just all about damage. Okay, this skill here is also really good as it's a bit self-sufficient. He will do multiple attacks to a single enemy, but when he does it, he steals their HP. He gives himself HP back, meaning it can keep him in the fight and help him to go a little bit longer. The final one he's got is Lance Burner, which deals 130% of attack and absorbs 15% of their AP, okay? Now, I really like this guy. As I said, he is someone who did help me in the early game. He was probably my favourite character for quite a while, but as I got further and further into the game, I started to need a little bit more from my DPS characters, and this is where the next few characters I'm going to talk about started to shine for me, okay? Now, first up, one character that I've absolutely fallen in love with is Zichui. I'm awful at pronouncing names, guys. You will come to learn that if you watch my content. Now, this character is very conditional, okay? Now, I'll explain what makes her conditional. You have to run him with this one. Like, you have to. Like, this character is great only if you have this character on your team, okay? That is important. However, because I do run 2 of them together, I find this character to be awesome. And the reason I find this character to be awesome is, as a fighter, as a DPS character, he kind of fulfills a dual role. He has 2 things going for him, okay? And that is, not only is he dishing out damage, is it a he? I'm pretty sure it's a he. Hang on, just a check profile to make sure I'm not saying this here. And profile. I'm pretty sure it's he. Anyway, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But anyway, the reason that I like this character so much is not only are they dishing out damage, okay, they are doing status effects as well. So you have that hybrid of being a DPS character, but also being a character who is affecting statuses on the enemy, okay? So you've got things like defense down, you've got crit rate up for 2 turns and attacks an enemy 3 times, each dealing damage equal to 80% of attack and inflicts defense down for 2 turns, okay? That's a very good skill. Defense down can make a big difference, especially if you're taking on bosses and stuff like that. This next skill is really, really good. It attacks all the enemies, okay? It attacks them twice, however, if you've got the other twin on the team, it attacks 4 times, hence the reason I'm saying you want to have both of them on the team, okay? It does damage equal to 45% of attack with a 40% chance of inflicting speed down for 2 turns. Again, if the other twin is on the team, that effect is doubled. And if you also look at the final skill, this one inflicts Sear, which increases damage by 25%. It deals damage twice. Again, if you've got the other twin on the team, it doubles to 4. No, it doesn't. It gives you extra damage, sorry. So you can see there that the idea behind this character is they're kind of filling that, in my opinion anyway, they're filling a kind of dual role, okay? And I like to run this character on a team with another DPS character, so I like to have this unit on a team with another DPS character, and I'm going to talk about that other DPS character in just a second. In fact, you can see them in this picture, looking at the bottom just now. But the dual purpose of this character has helped me clear a lot of stages late on, okay? Like clearing things like Temporal Tower, which I think is the second one, or Spectral Tower, whatever the second tower is. Clearing more stages in Purgatory, just really helping me advance in the game because of doing things like debuffing character speed as well as taking dishing out damage and things like that. I find this unit to be extremely good. The character that I think at the moment is my favourite DPS character though, however, is Chloe. Chloe is phenomenal. Chloe is just straight up phenomenal, okay? Now, the way that Chloe's kit works is Chloe does multiple attacks, okay? When Chloe's dishing out her attacks, obviously she's doing quite a lot of damage, okay? But coupled with that damage, she's stealing buffs, which is stripping the enemy of their buffs. But because she's stealing them, they are being applied to her, okay? So she's debuffing the enemy, she's buffing herself, and some of her skills, if she's not able to debuff the enemy, she can actually apply block buffer or buffer block, which will stop the enemy getting a buff. So she's so good, she is just so good. If you've slept on this character, I tell you now, start working on her. Her kit, she launches 5 strikes on random enemies, each dealing damage equal to 90% of attack and stealing 2 buffs from the target. Each buff on Medea or Chloe increases damage dealt by 10%. So if you pop this skill when you're facing a team who has a lot of buffs, she's just going to do more and more damage. And if the buffs that she's stealing are things like attack up, defense up, and even shields, she's becoming even better herself, okay? Her next skill launches 4 strikes at random enemies, each strike dealing damage equal to 75% of attack, and extends all buffs carried by 1 turn. If the target isn't buffed, then she will inflict buff blocker for 2 turns. So if you're facing a team that's got characters on it that are dishing out lots of buffs to their team, Chloe can be an absolute godsend. She can be an absolute godsend to your team. The final one attacks a target 2 times, each hit dealing damage equal to 70% of attack with a 50% chance to steal 1 buff. So every single one of her skills are dishing out good damage, they're stealing buffs. She's just great. And I've found that having the combo of this one, and this one on the same team works very, very well. It works very, very well. You will find that you're doing lots of debuffs, doing lots of damage, stealing lots of buffs. I just find that as a combination, it's so good. It is so good. But again, you need this piece of the puzzle to make that kind of combination work. And it works so well. It works so well. There's only one DPS character that I actually really want in the game just now. I've got a few that I need to build up. Like, I know Narmer is fantastic. I need to build him up though. Hyde's pretty good. Hyde, you've got to build a very specific build to get the most out of Hyde, but if you do that, Hyde is exceptional. I've got Lewis, who I could build up, who's really good for taking on bosses and stuff like that, but I'm not in any rush to build them up because I am holding out all of my hope that I can get one character who I need to get above all else, and it's this one here. see, but this character, who I cannot actually get for love nor money. I just cannot summon this character for anything. Right now, I would say that they are my most wanted character in the game, and they're just so hard to pull. I mean, they're just so hard to pull. This character, as many people already know, they have a lot going for them. There we go. I'm actually not missing that many characters. I'm only missing, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 characters from there. But she has so much going for her. I mean, she's doing massive damage, giving speed down, defense down. On this one, you've got bleed, and the bleed can be stacked. You get diseased. So a lot like the other characters I was talking about, not only is she a very strong DPS character, she's also working as being a buffer, a debuffer, and someone who can actually dish out damage via other means. And characters like that are just golden. They're absolutely golden, and to me it's just what I look for in a game like this. So despite not having her, I would still say she's one of my favourite DPS characters, which is a bit strange because clearly you need to have the character for them to be one of your favourites. But like I said, the favourites for me, really at the moment anyway, are Ling, Red Twin, and also Chloe is number 1 for me right now. Let me know who your favourite DPS characters or fighter characters are in the comments down below, guys. As always, I will be back with more Dislyte content in the coming days. I've been Hazing, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys.